Welcome aboard the Beseto Express. We'll cover 3 countries: Bei, Beijing in China, Sei, Seoul in Korea, and To, Tokyo in Japan. Together we'll explore the culture of Beseto. All aboard the Beseto Express.
"90% of one's beauty depends on one's hair. This means that regardless of East or West, past or present, one's standard of judging whether one is beautiful or not depends on one's hairstyle. Humankind's ongoing interest with their hair has been expressed by developments of various types of hairstyles and hair ornaments. Hairstyle of the 3 Beseto countries have been changing with history. China, which had developed numerous different types of hairstyles as varied as the variety of their people. Various styles of hair can be found even in their oldest records of history, like the Gapgolmunja. There were years when one's fingers were the only means to brush your hair. But Japan developed their own unique styles of hair, taking in influences from advanced cultures. Traditional hairstyles of Japan emphasizing formality. Korean hairstyles with graceful beauty. Hair was thought of as part of one's body and therefore was never cut or treated carelessly. Let's find out about the different hairstyles and hair ornaments of the 3 Beseto countries.
Hi there, it's me, Doris, your host of Beseto Express. Today on our show, we're going to take a look at hair ornaments of the Beseto countries. Wouldn't it be simple if you could tell if someone was married or not just by looking at the style of their hair? Well, that was possible in Korea a long time ago. This here, called the Binyu, was usually only worn by married women. Why don't we take a look now to see what other hair ornaments are in China and Japan?
Humans first started braiding their hair 40,000 years ago. Braided hair had already been introduced to China during the ancient Shang dynasty. Hair was made into 1 or 2 braids according to one's status or age, and braided hair was also put up into buns, developing various types of hairstyles. As the nation found stability during the Tang dynasty, and with developments in clothing, women started to style their hair higher up on their heads. Various forms of elaborate hairstyles of the Tang dynasty can be found today in wall paintings and clay dolls. These artifacts show the lives of people of the time. Such hairstyles were handed down, becoming the traditional hairstyles of China.
唐代的发型主要是什么？主要是以这种贵族阶层妇女的这个发型为主。那么它的这个发型呢，是跟这个什么？跟着这个服装，跟着社会的文化是相通的。因为唐代在中国封建社会时期是一个经济很发达的、非常高的一个程度。那么它的这个服装也好，经济文化包括所有的，它都是相通的。
With the invasion of the Han people during the Sung dynasty, hairstyles became more simplified. And after the Qing dynasty, in which China was ruled by the people of Manchuria, pigtails, which was the traditional hairstyle of horse riding people, became popular. It was 1400 years ago that hair parted into 2 sides appeared in Japan. Continental cultures had influenced the styles of their hairstyles. After the Nara dynasty, when hairstyles were quite elaborate and fancy, long straight hair became popular in the Heian dynasty, where aristocratic culture was well developed. That tradition is still passed on to the present day. And when braided hair was spread to Japan from Korea in the 6th century, elaborate styles of putting hair up into a bun developed during the Edo dynasty, and this became the traditional hairstyle of Japan. An expert on Japanese traditional hairstyles tells us more.
전체적으로 그 일본의 그 머리는 8세기에 중국의 당대 이전에는 그들 지형에 맞는 그 머리가 있다가 중국과의 교류로 인해서 풍만하게 아주 부풀려서 붙는 머리가 잠깐 등장을 하다가 헤이안 시대에 와서 그들만의 고유한 머리 스타일이 정착되었다고 봅니다.
Traditionally in Korea, on her wedding day, a woman wears her hair in a certain fashion. It's called chokjin. The way it's done is the hair is split down the middle, slicked back, and then held together in the back with an ornament. Why don't we go see how this style is made?
The representative hairstyle of Korea, the chignon, called chokjinmori in Korean. First, the hair is parted in the middle, and the chumji, which symbolizes one's social position, is affixed. Once the front of the hair is organized like this, the back hair is tied into 2 or 3 braids. Then the braided hair is turned up, coiled into a round shape, and then fixed up with a binyu so that it does not fall down. Finally, the traditional hairpin decorated with gold, silver, or gems, the dwiggoji, is fixed on the chignon. This completes the elegant chignon that suits gracefully with the hanbok.
Well, what do you think? It was done a lot easier than it looks, huh? Let's take a moment now to look at the other Korean traditional hairstyles.
In Korea, it was considered good manners to arrange the hair before dressing. Ever since the introduction of braided hair 5,000 years ago, various styles of putting hair up appear in the 4th and 5th centuries. In the Muyongchong, which is one of the tomb wall paintings of that period, there is a lady with permed hairstyle up like modern day. The queen of the Goguryeo dynasty had her hair styled up high using wigs. But the hairstyles of the Baekje had more tidy and simple forms. When the nation was unified and found stability in the 7th century, hairstyles of women became longer and more elaborate, and the use of wigs became popular. Wigs of the unified Shilla dynasty were especially known for their good quality, that they even became representative export goods of that period. Later, the hairstyle of putting up hair, coiled hair, and the chignon became the representative hairstyles of Korea. Around the 15th century, hair was turned up into a bun. Wigs were used to braid and fix the hair. And in the late 18th century, this hairstyle used light pieces of wood instead of wigs. And as the chignon became the representative hairstyle in the 19th century, it became a tradition for married women to style their hair up in a chignon, and for young girls to braid their hair into one long braid.
한국의 머리 모양은 고대부터 오늘날까지 일관적으로 얹은 머리나 쪽진 머리가 계속되어 왔다고 생각을 합니다. 다만 그 시대가 중국과의 교류가 있거나 중국이 또 이민족의 그 왕조가 지배됐을 때는 장식이나 가발이 더해져서 더 높고 화려하게 빗었고 그 영향은 우리나라에도 파급이 되었고 물론 일본에까지도 미쳐졌다고 생각을 합니다.
Till now, we saw how the hair is worn up, but there are certain accessories that makes the style complete. For example, this ornament I'm holding here is usually worn by a bride on her wedding day. Even from a far distance, anyone can tell what accessory goes with whom. Why don't we go in and see the different kinds of hair ornaments that are in Korea?
These are red and black colored ribbons called TANG, used by Korean maidens for their hair. Mothers in Korea made the TANG with care in honor of their daughter's first menstruation. Rather than as just a hair accessory, the TANG was more of a tool to tie the hair and a symbol to tell others that the girl or boy wearing it was not yet married. But since about 300 years ago, more varied and elaborate styles of TANG started to develop, and their functions as hair decorative ornaments started being emphasized. tengi remained a popular hair accessory until the beginning of the 20th century. Hair ornaments of Korea, which still partly remain in modern day, have been handed down to modern generations, creating another tradition. Let's visit a museum to take a look at other various forms of hair ornaments. Among the everyday materials of a woman in the Joseon dynasty, hair ornaments make up the majority. The dwiggoji is a decorative ornament that is fixed on the chignon behind the head. It not only served as an accessory, but it was also used to part the hair, and also as a needle in times of emergency. The Chumji was another hair ornament that symbolized one's social status. The doljam, which decorated the hair when turned up in a bun, was noted for its gentle trembles and shininess. And of course there is the Binyu, which we cannot exclude when talking about the traditional styles of a chignon. The Binyu was the decorative ornament that held together the chignon, which was the symbol of a married woman. The Binyu was an ornament that reflected one's social status, economic standing, and even the location of one's house, according to its shape or the material it was made out of. The Binyu is completed all by delicate handwork from start to end. Gold is heated in fire up to 1000 degrees Celsius, and then stretched into thin strips. Connecting these to make a round Binyu is impossible to do unless it is done by an experienced craftsman. After the basic form is completed, decorative materials like the chilbo is used to make the Binyu fancier and more elaborate. To Korean women in the old days, receiving a Binyu meant courtship, and the loss of her Binyu represented the loss of her fidelity. Although it's not easy to find women with a Binyu on their hair today, the image of neatly brushing her hair and putting it up in a small chignon was the picture of Korea's traditional woman.
한국의 그 머리 장식은요, 자신의 그 머리만 갖고 이렇게 하는 경우가 있고, 가발을 이용해서 아주 크게 빚는 그런 경우가 있습니다. 또한 이런 아름다움만 추구했던 것이 아니고, 그 도트락댕기의 그 뒤에 달려있는 서공황 같은 거는 어린아이가 체했을 때 그걸 물에다 갈아서 먹으면 응급 효과가 있었고요. 뒷꽂이의 그 날카로운 부분도 급한 상황에 사람의 손을 딴다든지 할 때 사용되는 의료용 기구의 역할도 했던 것입니다.
The one moment of your life that is most joyful and holy, the wedding. Like wearing the wedding dress in the West, brides of Japan also dressed into their traditional wedding costumes and decorated their hair with elaborate decorations. Then, since when did such elaborate hair decorations appear? The Edo dynasty was the time when various forms of hair ornaments started to appear on top of neatly brushed hair put up into a bun. Among them, the most popular decorative item was the comb. Used in the beginning as a tool simply to brush the hair, the comb naturally developed into a hair accessory. Later, various types of combs in different shapes and materials from metal to wood became popular according to different regions and periods. And with time, the comb is being handed down to modern times as the representative traditional hair ornament of Japan.
で通常使う櫛というのはまた話は全然別なんで、そこら辺のところはまた違う話だと思うんで、ここでは話をしない方がいいんでしょう。それは、いろんな本の資料だとかそういったもので見てもやっぱりその時代のものが一番いいものがあります。で細工も現在ではできないような細工のものが多々あるんで、それを見て我々今の時代の人間は感心している状態が多々あります。
However, such hair accessories of the past are not being used in the everyday lives of the Japanese today. Instead of expensive hair ornaments of the past, accessories made of materials like acrylics in similar shapes with less expensive prices are being more loved. Japanese women had thought of their hair and their hair ornaments as precious as their own lives. Traditional hairstyles of Japan became less elaborate than the Edo dynasty as Western influences started to be absorbed. And instead of various hair ornaments, fancy flowers started to be used, getting closer to those of modern day. Various hair ornaments have developed since the early days of China. This ornament made of animal bones was used as a type of hairpin to decorate the hair. Along with other ornaments made of gold, silver, or jade, combs were also popular, not only as a tool, but as a decorative item to heighten the beauty of women. And during the times of prosperity, hairstyles became more splendid and were raised up higher. Such styles influenced Korea and Japan as well. Women of the time added volume to their hairstyles by using wigs and decorated their hair with binyus, flower crowns, and beads. Women started to put more care into their hairstyles, and fancy hair ornaments started to develop more than any other period in history. The most well-developed hair ornament of the time was the pu yao. Pu yao means trembling when walking. Women adorned their hair with various types of pu yao and strode along the streets, showing off their beauty. Accessories were simplified in the Ming Dynasty. And in the Qing Dynasty, which was ruled by people who traditionally loved elaborate decorations, splendid hair ornaments started to reappear. They used embroidery and other craft skills to make finer and more delicate hair accessories. This was when Manchurian culture got mixed in with the Han culture, forming a new Chinese culture. With Western influences, women who insisted on traditional hairstyles or ornaments, like the past, disappeared during modern times. However, like the Chinese who melted various different cultures into one, creating their own unique culture, Western influences are being absorbed into modern cultures of China, creating a new modern form of Chinese culture. As well, the unique cultures of China are being spread to other parts of the world, becoming familiar to Westerners, and even creating some of the world's fashion trends.
As you all know, black hair is unique to the Asian population, but so are the accessories that go on them. The Asian hair accessories aren't there just for presentation, as we learned today. They symbolize something. For example, they show whether if a woman is married or not. I guess that's another reason why the Asian hairpins show the world how unique the Asian culture is. I think that's it for today, and until next time, goodbye.
In the past history of the three Beseto countries, hairstyles and hair ornaments have been changing continually, repeating their elaborateness and simplicity through different periods of time. This proves how the values and ideals of one period can be reflected even in the hairstyles and hair ornaments, which are often simply thought of as just a form of decoration.